Questions 1 through 10 on the 2008 Grade 12 AMC 12A. A bakery owner turns on his donut machine at 8:30 a.m. At 11:10 a.m., the machine has completed 1/3 of the day's job. At what time will the donut machine complete the job? 8:30 is where he starts, and by 11:10, they're saying that 1/3 of his job is done. So, what is the time in terms of hours and minutes? Well, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes, and that represents 1/3. So to get the full time, you have to multiply this by 3. And when you do, you get an exact amount of 8 hours. 8 hours is how long it takes for the machine to complete the job. So they're saying if you start at 8:30, when do you end? Well, 8:30 plus 8 hours, which is 4:30 p.m. And therefore the answer to number 1 is D. What is the reciprocal of 1/2 plus 2/3? First, you add the fraction, get a common denominator, multiply top and bottom by 3 and 4 and 2. So you get 3 plus 4/6, which is 7/6. And then they want the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of this is 6/7. So number 2, the answer is A. Suppose that 2/3 of 10 bananas are worth as much as 10 oranges. How many oranges are worth as much as 1/2 of 5 bananas? So 2/3 times 10 bananas is equal to 8 oranges. I'll say O with a line through it to represent oranges so you don't confuse it for a 0. So solving this, you get 20/3b is equal to 8 oranges. And then just oranges by themselves would be 20/24. And in lowest terms, that is 5/6. All right, so far so good. What they want is how many oranges are worth 1/2 of 5 bananas. So 1/2 of 5 bananas. So this is the equivalent of saying 5/2 bananas is equal to how many oranges? All right, well, this looks very similar to this number. In fact, I can get that number if I multiply both sides here by 3. So this becomes 5/2b, and this becomes 3 oranges. And there you go, I just got it. So this number in here is a 3. So 5/2 bananas is equal to 3 oranges, and therefore number 3, the answer is 3, and that's choice C. Which of the following is equal to this product? So they have given us quite a few of these terms, and these terms should be sufficient enough to figure out a pattern. But in case they're not, no problem. They give us the general formula. So let's type in a few more here. So when n is, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to have 16 on the bottom and 20 on the top. Let's just do one more. I think one more in the beginning is enough. When n is 5, this will be 20 and this will be 24. So you can kind of see the pattern here. And this keeps on going as a product. And let's just do the last one, or the second last one. This is the last one. The second last one, well, this one was when n was 501, right? Because 4n is equal to 2004. So n is 501. So when n is 500, you would get 2000 and then 2004. And then this just keeps on going. So as you can clearly see by now, or even in the beginning, some of you have noticed that these all cancel, right? They all cancel. It just keeps on canceling. And then when you're done canceling, the only thing left over is the 2008 way over here and the 4 at the very beginning. And if you do that, you get 502. Yeah. So number 4, the answer is B. Suppose that 2x/3 minus x/6 is an integer. Which of the following statements must be true about x? The first thing I'm going to do is just add this fraction, get a common denominator and add it. So I get 4x minus x over 6 like that. And that becomes 3x over 6, and that is just x over 2. And that's all that is. Now they're saying that this is an integer. The only way that x over 2 can be an integer is if x is even. Right? It's the only way it can be an integer. So let's see. Let's go through the answer choices. Which of the following must be true about x? A, it is negative. Well, that doesn't need to be true. It doesn't have to be negative. So B, it is even. Yes, but not necessarily a multiple of 3. Yeah, that's true. It doesn't have to be a multiple of 3. It could be, for example, 8, and 8 over 2 is 4. So this is the right answer. Let's just look at the other ones. It is a multiple of 3, but not necessarily even. No, it has to be even. So that's not correct. It is a multiple of 6. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. See, they're saying something that must be true. It could be a multiple of 6, but it doesn't have to be. Because as I gave earlier an example of 8 for x, 8 works, but 8's not a multiple of 6. And similarly, doesn't necessarily have to be a multiple of 12. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. So, number 5, the answer is B. Heather compares the price of a new computer at 2 different stores. Store A offers 15% off the sticker price, followed by a 90% rebate, $90 rebate. And then store B offers 25% off the same sticker price with no rebate. Heather saves $15 by buying the computer at store A instead of store B. What is the sticker price in dollars? Okay. So at store A, let's just say the price is P. She's going to pay 0.85, right? Because it's a 15% discount. And then she gets a dollar discount of 90. At store B, it's same sticker price, but this time she's going to pay 0.75 because it's a 25% discount. And then that's it. There's no rebate there in terms of a dollar amount. And they're telling me that in comparison, this is $15 less. So if you were to make this an equation, I'd have to put minus 15 there. And there you go. That's the mathematical equation that we have to solve to get the value for P. All right, bring everything with P on one side and get 0.1 P. And then bring the numbers on one side and you get 75. And then dividing through by 0.1, you get P equal to 750. And there you go. So number 6, the answer is A. While Steve and Leroy are fishing 1 mile from shore, their boat springs a leak, and water comes in at a constant rate of 10 gallons per minute. The boat While Steve and Leroy are fishing 1 mile from shore, their boat springs a leak, and water comes in at a constant rate of 10 gallons per minute. The boat will sink if it takes in more than 30 gallons of water. Steve starts rowing toward the shore at a constant rate of 4 miles per hour, while Leroy bails water out of the boat. What is the slowest rate in gallons per minute at which Leroy can bail if they are to reach the shore without sinking? They are 1 mile from the shore, and they're traveling at a rate of 4 miles per hour. So, in order to reach the shore, which is 1 mile away, that's going to take 15 minutes. All right? Now, from the time that they start getting this leak and to the time they hit the shore, 30 gallons is the maximum amount that can go into the boat. Otherwise, they sink. So if 30 gallons comes in and they reach the shore at that very point, they can just jump off the boat onto the land and they're safe. So 30 gallons in 15 minutes is the max. So that means 2 gallons per minute is the maximum amount of water that can come in. Now, the rate that the water is coming in is 10. So obviously that's significantly more. They're going to drown. Probably they're going to drown in 3 minutes, right? 10 gallons per minute. So how do I make myself last for 15 minutes? Well, that's where Leroy comes in. He starts bailing water out, which I'm assuming means taking water out, by pail or whatever. So 2 is the maximum. It's coming in at 10, so I've got to take out 8 in order to get 2. I've got to take out Leroy, actually, not me. Leroy has to bail out 8 gallons per minute. And if he does, then the rate will drop down to 2. And in 15 minutes, there'll be 30 gallons. But at that point, in 15 minutes, they will reach the shore and they're safe. So the answer to this question is 8. That is how much Leroy has to bail out per minute in order to be safe, in order to not sink, and therefore number 7, the answer is D. What is the volume of a cube whose surface area is twice that of a cube with volume 1? So the volume of a cube they give you is 1. Well, that means that's a unit cube. It's a cube with all sides equal to 1. Now, the surface area of that unit cube is 6 faces times the area of each face, which is 1 times 1. It's a unit cube, and that's 6. Now they're saying that you got another cube that has a surface area twice that of this cube. So the second cube, I'll just write here second cube, obviously a larger cube, has a surface area of 12, twice the surface area of this one. And they're saying, what is the volume of this second cube? All right, well, 12 is a surface area. How do you figure that out? Well, 6 times the area of a side, and let's just say the side is x. So 6 times x squared. And therefore x squared is equal to 2, and x is root 2. So how do you figure out the volume? Well, the volume of a cube is x to the power of 3, and therefore this will be root 2 to the power of 3, which is 2 root 2. So number 8, the answer is C. Older television screens have an aspect ratio of 4:3. That is, the ratio of the width to height is 4:3. The aspect ratio of many movies is not 4:3. So they are sometimes shown on a television screen by letterboxing, darkening strips of equal height at top and bottom as shown. Suppose a movie has an aspect ratio of 2:1 and is shown on an older television screen with a 27-inch diagonal. What is the height in inches of each darkened strip? Okay, so first and foremost, we have to understand that this is a diagonal from there to there. And they're telling us that it's 27 inches. So that diagonal is 27. And it's 4:3 in terms of the ratio of width to height. So this is 4x and this is 3x. Okay? So using Pythagoras, we can figure out the value of x. We got 3 squared plus 4x squared is equal to 27 squared. 9x squared plus 16x squared is equal to 27 squared. And solving for x squared, we get 27 squared over 25, and therefore x is equal to 27 over 5. All right. Now we get into this whole thing about 2:1. And what they're saying is that this, you see this white part, it's a ratio of 2:1. So from here to here, it's actually 2x, since this is 4x, and the ratio of this movie is 2:1. And they want you to find the actual distance from top to bottom of each of these darkened strips. Okay, well, each of those darkened strips is the equivalent of x over 2, right? Because x over 2 plus x over 2 plus 2x must equal 3x. So this question really says find the value of x over 2. Well, x we just figured out was 27 over 5. So 27 over 5 times a half is x over 2. And that is 27 over 10, which is equal to 2.7. So number 9, the answer is D. Doug can paint a room in 5 hours. Dave can paint the same room in 7 hours. Doug and Dave paint the room together and take a 1-hour break for lunch. Let T be the total time in hours required for them to complete the job, working together including lunch. Which of the following equations is satisfied by T? So we got Doug and we got Dave. Now, this question, it'll help us if we give a little bit of a number. This is getting kind of abstract in my opinion, because you got all these ones here and you think, where do these ones come from? So let's say that the room has a total area of 35 meters squared. All right, just chose a very easy number to work with since we got 5s and 7s. So Doug, it would take him 35 divided by 5, 7 meters per hour. That's his rate that he paints. And Dave, similarly, 35 is the total. His total time to complete it working alone was 7 hours. So he would paint at a rate of 5 meters squared per hour. Now, working together, it would be 7 meters squared per hour plus 5. And then you have to multiply this by the time, and that would equal the total amount of paint, which is 35 meters squared. Now, what goes in here is the time. Time is represented in this question by t. But that time is the total amount of time, including lunch, right? So, for example, if time including lunch was 4 hours, they took 1 hour for lunch. So the amount of time they actually were painting was just 3. So what goes into here is the amount of time painting. So it's t minus 1, that 1 hour for lunch. So this is my equation. But all of these have 1s in them. So how do I get a 1? Well, I divide through by, in my example, 35. Everything by 35. And that will allow me to get a 1. This side, the t minus 1, I'll just put here. It becomes 1 over 5, this 7 over 35, and this 5 over 35 becomes 1 over 7. There you go. That's how they're getting one of these, and the one that matches in terms of the answer choices is D.